Thank you so much for having me here, Jewel. I really appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. I see some familiar faces. I am healing from a traumatic brain injury, so hence the sunglasses. So they'll come on and off during our time together. And I'm just so excited, all of you here. I'm excited to meet some of you. And Jules mentioned that I work with people in life transitions, and that's true. I've had several interesting life experiences myself. Most recently, the traumatic brain injury accident that happened January 2020. And it was difficult, but such a blessing in many ways. And from that came another question that helped me heal. And I'm going to bring that in our conversation today. And yeah, I invented this photo methodology. It's called Visible Transitions, and it's using curiosity and a smartphone camera. And it has helped people release their stress and anxiety and some trauma, the feeling of overwhelm, and helps people get back into balance and into a state of acceptance. And I often speak of curiosity as the portal to acceptance and a bridge from resistance to acceptance. So when we're in resistance, we tend to block our intuitive process and solutions, and we create distance between ourselves and others. We can create conflict because we're usually in a reactive state when we're in resistance. So visible transitions helps to dissolve that resistance and bring you into a state of acceptance or neutrality, being a neutral observer. I know there's been some great talks already from the Foundation of Nonviolent Communication and how to be more empathetic and compassionate with yourself and others. And so, yeah, it's just a way of really dissolving and reducing our triggers, which come from trauma and our wounding. And right now we're in a state, I call it Corona apocalypse, and where the truths are being unveiled as a result of coronavirus swooping in. And there's a lot of upheaval, and yet there's a lot of optimism and inspiration. Many people having trouble coping, and many people making major changes and realizing their values are different than they were. And many of us realizing that we want to navigate our days and our life in a different way. And so the work I do in the world, helps you get into that state of acceptance. And that's ultimately this ease and the joy and the play. And that's when we're in that expansive state and where the magic happens, where we get along with people, where we can actually enjoy our differences. I've been giving that talk for the last year, enjoying each other's differences. And ultimately, that's what I bring to my clients and groups, helping you feel more ease and joy, confidence, play during the chaos. So I want to check in and do a temperature check. If anybody wants to check in either audio or through the chat. You want to check in with how you're feeling in the moment, or some thought or feeling that's up for you, especially over this past week. It would be great, really helpful for me to know that. Okay, well, why don't we go right into the visualization then? This is a visualization I developed after the 2017 wildfires in Northern California. That's where I was living, as Jules mentioned. And oh, we got some people checking in. Tired but supported, a little distracted, lots going on that I'm juggling. Okay, that sounds pretty familiar. Super, very inspired. Great. Thank you, Andrew. Wonderful, wonderful. And our feelings change from moment to moment. When I work with my clients, the first thing we do is check in, and it's usually a myriad of feelings and emotions. Yeah, and the idea is just to feel it all and let it be there, get into that state of acceptance, whether we deem it to be pleasant or unpleasant. I think they're all the same, meaning that they are messengers for us. So back in 2017, we had the wildfires, and Northern California, Sonoma County was traumatized. And welcome, welcome, Pi. And Lisa, you're feeling like you met your tribe. I love it. So I came up with this visualization that I would like to take you through right now. And if you are comfortable, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. You can keep your camera on or off, whatever's more comfortable for you. Close your eyes. And we're going to get into a state of curiosity and noticing. So first, just notice your breath. In this visualization, you're not going to change anything. You're not going to manage or control anything. You're just going to be in a state of curiosity and observance. Now I invite you to create an image in front of your face of something that feels pleasant to you. It could be a flower, it could be a puppy, a baby, a tree, cup of coffee, whatever it is. Just bring up an image of something that feels pleasant to you. Don't judge it. Don't even question it. You know what feels pleasant for you. And just hold the image there in front of your eyes, in front of your face. Keep your eyes closed. All right, now I invite you to notice, as you're looking at this pleasant image, notice your jaw. Don't change anything, just notice your jaw. And your teeth. And moving down, notice your throat. So you're continuing to look at this pleasant image and you're noticing your throat. Nothing to change or do, just notice. Going down, notice your shoulders. How do they feel? Again, no changing or managing or controlling anything. Just notice how your shoulders feel. And down to your chest. Notice your chest. And your breathing. Notice your breathing. Don't change anything. Just notice your breathing. And sweeping up again, your chest, shoulders, neck and throat, jaw and teeth. Beautiful. Now I'm going to invite you to dissolve that image. Dissolve the image of the pleasant thing. Keeping your eyes closed. Now I invite you to bring an image of something unpleasant, mildly unpleasant, some kind of tension or resistance, nothing too intense, but something that's definitely unpleasant, feels like tension or resistance. It could be a person, a situation, could be a pile of laundry, anything that invokes tension or resistance. Could be a relationship. Hold that image, that unpleasant image, in front of your face. And now I invite you to do the same as we did before. Notice your jaw and your teeth as you're looking at this unpleasant image. Moving down to your throat and your neck. Notice your throat and your neck. No, don't attempt to change anything. As you continue to look and think about this unpleasant image, notice your throat and neck. Moving down towards your shoulders, noticing your shoulders as you're looking at this unpleasant image. And down towards your chest. And now notice your breathing as you're looking or thinking about this unpleasant thing. And moving back up to your chest, your upper chest, shoulders, just noticing. Up towards your throat and neck. Keep looking at the image. And now up to your jaw and your teeth. Okay, now I invite you to slowly open your eyes as you're dissolving this image. Dissolving that image, slowly opening your eyes. And now I'm curious what happened for you in the visualization. What did you notice? And you're welcome to unmute or write in the chat, what did you notice? What was that experience like for you? Anyone want to share?
I think there's definitely more tension in your jaw and your neck and your shoulders for me. I'm not very good at visualizing, but I could certainly feel it just thinking about the images without even having to see the images.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if I was better at visualizing, it would be a very good tool.
Mm-hmm. So you did notice that that's Lisa, right? Who's speaking? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you did notice that when you visualized the unpleasant thing that there was more tension. And
Sure.
what happened when you were visualizing the more pleasant image? Was it different or was it
Yeah.
there?
Yeah.
Mhm.
It was much more relaxed. Yeah, it was
Mhm.
much more relaxed. I could feel that my jaw was lower. Now I could physically feel the differences in my body.
Wonderful.
Mm.
Great job. So you know how to visualize.
Oh, there you go. It just looks black to me, Janet. I'll work on the color.
Awesome, thank you. And let's see, when I was visualizing the tense image, my jaws were clenched. I used to grind my teeth. Yeah. And yep, tightness in my chest and jaw. You're so welcome. Holding opposites for some time and it's easier now. Yeah. Great, I'm glad you brought up opposites because we're gonna work with that. Somebody felt tightness in the jaw, neck and shoulders and belly on the second one. Tougher to breathe, easy. Excellent, thank you for your shares. Probably most, if not all of you are resonating and perhaps have the same experience here. And thank you so much for participating in this visualization. And the foundation of visible transitions comes from the non-dual practices. And so I just put you in a duality. I put you in a pleasant and an unpleasant experience. So you could experience how your body responds or reacts. And let me see, somebody wrote something here. Let's see, you wanting to release and relax, yeah. So what really happened here is, and I'm not going to show you my photo methodologies today, but what happened is the brain takes in information from one or more of the 5 primary senses. So in this case, it was sight. You brought up an image, and your brain took information in and computed a story. And of course, we need our brain to do this on a day-to-day basis. We couldn't survive or be a contribution to the world and be parents and whatnot. And so we often will believe all these narratives, these stories and interpretations that our brain creates. And many of them are not true. So when you were looking at a pleasant image, your body responded in a more relaxed way. For most of you, I don't know, but for the majority of people, this is what happens. And then when you looked at the unpleasant image, your body started to tense up. And either way, your brain computed a story. And the first pleasant image, and I even used pleasant and unpleasant, which is actually a story, but it was the way to get you into the experience. So this is just showing us how we can have a resistant and reactive response to life, or we could have more of a relaxed, calm response to life. And it's based on what our brain takes in through the 5 primary senses. And that's all based on, as well, our culture and our upbringing, and then all the opinions we've formulated and the beliefs we've formulated. And so we have this mass conditioning that we have formulated over the years. And so this type of visualization and other methodologies within my work helps you to dissolve the story. And it's not so much moving towards positive or negative thinking. It's literally dissolving the belief. So I want to bring in a question that came up for me last year when I was incapacitated and self-employed. So some of you might resonate with this, having an illness, being self-employed, not married, not having a partner for support, and not knowing how you're going to work and generate money, and all these basic needs. How are our basic needs going to be met? So, there's a lot of stress and anxiety and some grief and despair and overwhelm that we're experiencing collectively and individually. especially around climate change and corona apocalypse, and there's a lot of uncertainty. And there's also these feelings, many of us are having feelings of inspiration and optimism and moving towards a state of resilience. So we've also been challenged in the last year and a half with balance. And some people used to going to work in an office and having to work at home and whatnot. So we've had a little challenge with our self-care and balancing that out, meaning putting ourselves first. I really believe that we can only give to others to the degree we give to ourselves. So I want to get into a discussion verbally and or through the chat around how do we move through these experiences of grief and overwhelm, despair, stress, trauma. How do we move through these experiences with more ease and joy and confidence and clarity? And you can raise your hand if you're interested in that. I don't want to assume you're interested in more ease and joy and clarity and confidence. I imagine you are because you're here. So you could go to the reactions button on the bottom and do like a thumbs up like I just did, or a heart, or a clap. And so I know that you're moving towards the same vision and goal. Okay. And yeah, so it might seem a little silly, but one of the things that I focus on with my clients and my groups is to become aware of the assumptions, because those can really cause conflict. So I didn't want to assume that all or many of you would like to experience more ease, joy, and confidence and clarity. But you're here, so that's my guess. And I spoke a little bit about the foundation of this work, and this is really where the Inner Resilience Network, I think, comes from as well. And what we're all here to do is coming from this foundation of non-duality, which I'm also calling the curious, neutral acceptance state, because we all have our differences and we're never all going to agree on the same thing. And so how do we come together and work together in harmony based on those facts? Well, last year, there was when I was incapacitated in bed, not walking, not driving, nothing. There were moments where I wanted to quit. It's like, get me out of here. So I know that the magic to developing more resilience and moving forward with healing or solutions and answers is asking questions, being curious. And 11 years ago, I had a major illness and I asked questions while I was on the floor of my childhood bedroom. And that's how Visible Transitions was born, by asking questions. So last year, incapacitated, I asked this question: what is option 3? I didn't ask myself the question. So this is one of the keys. We don't ask ourselves this question. We ask, what is option 3? We ask it to life, a higher source, whatever that is for you, the universe, God, whatever that is, your higher self, something that's bigger than you, that's outside of you, that's where you ask this question. What is option 3? So why are we asking this question? What is option 3? Because it takes us out of that polarity. It takes us out of the this or that, black and white, good or bad, pleasant, unpleasant, have to, not have to, should not. It takes us out of there. And we're all moving in this direction. We're moving into this very expansive direction and dimension where we are going to be and are starting to really see each other and listen to each other in a whole new way. This is how we can listen. What is option 3? There are no opinions there. There are no assumptions. There's no beliefs. There's just a pure space that can connect us much more easily and with respect and harmony. What is option 3? For me, wanting to quit life at that point, I asked life, what is option 3? Now, the practice of non-attachment, not being so attached to the answer, not being attached to what the answer is or when the answer is going to come. Just trusting that the asking of the question, you can pretend you put it in a bubble and it just floats off. And remaining in this state of curiosity, childlike wonder, then the answer comes. So my answer didn't come for 6 months, but it put me on my soul tour. And since then, everything in my life has fallen into place. Everything. And I'm working like 25%, and finances have been handled. Everything has been handled. A roof over my head. So I want to have a discussion here. What in your life, what in your life do you feel some tension or resistance? Perhaps you don't have an answer. You feel like you need to have an answer. It could be about climate change. It could be something more on a personal level. There's this ripple effect, right? The inner resilience we're talking about. So everything inside shows up on the outside. And where can I support you right now in this question? What is option 3? Where in your life are you feeling like you need some clarity or direction? Maybe you're in a conflict with someone. You might be in a tense dialogue about climate change right now, and you want to turn that into something that's a little smoother. So whatever's up for you, you can unmute yourself, and we can have a discussion that way or in the chat box. So I'm here to be of service to you on dissolving and reducing some tension and resistance and moving towards a place of acceptance and ease.
I guess I would like to share a little bit.
Sure.
When you were asking for a pleasant image, I came up with the ocean and floating. And that's actually, I realize now, I hadn't thought about it when you were asking it, but I have that on my screensaver as an image to remind me to float in the state of I don't know, so that I'm open to this higher consciousness. And then when you offered the image of, well, a negative image. I realized that it was a picture of me flailing when I'm worried about anything. The conflict part is with myself when I slide into that state. And I know what the answer is. It's to let go and float. But when you're actually wrestling with world problems, you can watch yourself flail for quite a while before you dare to let go. And so I have this wish to let go sooner, because it always gets flipped.
Mhm, mhm.
As Janet was describing, even a dark and difficult, horrible time in your life, or my life, when it's brought into this light, suddenly it becomes a teaching tool that boosts you in a way that can be very dramatic. And it can fling you into the light. When it's a small thing, that's when I have trouble. I get all annoyed when I can't get somewhere on time. And it's like pathetic. It's pathetic how annoyed I get. And then I think, okay, I'm putting my destination higher priority than being in the light. And there have been times when I let go of my destination, just put it in the light.
Yeah.
Once that happened when it was so amazing. About 9 things happened before I got home that showed me that's the answer. But I don't always go there. Why don't I always do that? That's where I'm wrestling. But when I look at that, I look at myself flailing, and I also see other people are flailing when they're in that place. And that's the natural response to being disconnected from the higher self. And compassion comes forward. So maybe it's a gift to be stuck with myself. I'm not able to do that. I don't know. That's how I wrestle with this.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that, Rita. Yeah, I'm hearing the word wrestle. And, we have so many tools, and it can feel scary to let go and surrender and go into the light, or go into the neutrality and the curious state, because our brains hate change. And so the brain and the ego are just clutching on. And that's the comfortable place for us to be. And most often it's just not the aligned space to be. And then we create the tension, and we're in the fight or flight state. Now we've got stress and anxiety and overwhelm. So this question, what is option 3, which I'm going to put that in the chat for those of you who came in. What is option 3? Asking this question like while you're driving somewhere, and you like to be on time, and you're thinking you're going to be late, and you're tensed up. Often I have people do my neutrality practice, which I'm not going to show you today. However, you could ask, what is option 3? And so the asking of the question, just the asking of this question, nothing else, just the asking, what is option 3, to something high, outside of you, higher than you, releases some of that tension, just the asking of it. So this is why abiding in the state of curiosity, it is just the magic place. It can solve so many problems. And I'm not talking about the why me question. I'm talking about the what or the how. Just asking that question, okay, what is option 3? It releases us out of that dual polarity space. And so maybe the next time you're driving and you're thinking you're going to be late and you're getting annoyed, you can ask that question. And I really appreciate you sharing your visualizations of the ocean, floating in the ocean, and then yourself flailing while worried. I think a lot of us could resonate with that. Someone's asking, have you ever heard the 9 option strategy? I have not heard of that. I haven't heard of that. I have heard of and work with the 3 R's, which is resistance, resentment, and revenge. But I definitely will look up this 9 option strategy. And I think overall we like to, it's the tools that we have, the more simple and accessible they are, the more we'll most likely use them. Matthew, I see you're unmuted. Do you want to share something?
Yeah, I was the one who asked about the 9 options, and your question 3 just reminded me of this strategy that I heard from a teacher a little while back, and she would say that in any situation you're in, as difficult it is, there are 9 different options that you could pursue. And the trick is to sit down and write out 9 options, and one of them will be the right one.
Interesting.
And it's
Sure.
just like, yeah, be crazy. Let yourself be creative, imaginative, and do it with your team. Do it with all the people involved. And one of those options will be the one.
Mm-hmm.
8 of them probably won't be. We get boxed into corners and we get stuck. And
We do.
This 3rd question that you ask is a really great strategy for there's another option here. I don't have to be locked into the good or the bad. Only.
Exactly. Because
Thank you.
again, the conditioning and the culture and what society has said, I mean, all these paradigms are dismantling right now, and many of them just don't work anymore. And so we can actually tend to feel even more boxed in now that many of us are moving towards a different way of living. And so what is option 3? Again, just asking that will, poof, it'll take us out of this, what was the word locked in, right? It'll take us out of that feeling, and
open up to a new possibility.
Yes. Yeah.
Very,
it helps. It really just helps to get us more into a listening space, more developing more compassion for ourselves and others, and getting into a listening space. And often, I know for myself, and I know many people, we want to be right. And that can create a lot of conflict. So thank you for that so much. Let's see, we have a comment here. Don't stay focused on what isn't working. Focus on the things that are working. The sun came up today. That's a good start if you need. That is my approach. Yes. So what we focus on expands. And thank you for that, Andrew. What we focus on expands. So when we're focused on what's working, there's more workability. There's more, the possibilities come in. We put ourselves into a more curious, expansive, childlike state. And so all those blockages start to dissolve, and the answers are here. They're within, they're floating right around us. And I wanted to say one more thing to that. So what we focus on expands, and then, the unpleasant thing or the resistance, feeding the fire, right? So if we're resistant and we're feeling locked in and frustrated and annoyed, the more we focus on that, the more we have of that. And so what is option 3 is one of the tools to really reduce that. Let's see, Rua, thank you. Many years ago, Walter Wink wrote an article about the third way, which changed my life. Yes. I'm going to look that up. Thank you for that, Rua. Yeah, it's how many of you here just notice that you tend to go into the conditioning space of this or that, or should or shouldn't. And I know I do, and I've done lots of work for 21 years. Catastrophe. Catastrophe, yeah. In 2017, during that big wildfire in Northern California, speaking of catastrophe, I was co-leading a women's business retreat on the top of Mayacamas Mountain. And long story short, I had to get 18 of us out from the top of that mountain and to safety. And the next day I learned that we made it within 6 minutes of the entire place burning down. And as I was driving down the mountain, I knew that the only way out of that mountain was to stay in this curious state. Not why me, but what is option 3? Go with what I know. I don't know if in an emergency, my motto is go with what I know. I wonder. So I made it out, obviously alive, but I wasn't sure. So I just kept in this state. What is option 3? Like if I needed to make another move, was there another action I needed to do to get to safety? Let's see. Oh, thank you. Okay, I'm going to save the chat. Zorba the Greek, a stupendous crash. I love that. I find having plans A, B, and C prepared and up my sleeve really helps. Wonderful. Yeah, there's just so much possibility in so many ways towards resilience and towards coming into harmony with each other. And as we move forward in teams and organizations around climate change and all the other major global issues, we can bring this question to our teams. We can, for me, it's part of my daily practice. What is option 3 when I'm feeling stuck, when I'm feeling anxious? As Rita was saying, like if she's feeling, I gotta get somewhere, I gotta be on time, what is option 3? I just thought of maybe you turn on your Waze apps. I hardly use that, but yeah. So any other comments or questions? We have about 6 minutes left. Aya, you're welcome. I'm so glad your creativity is being stoked. Yay. Matthew, so sad to hear about the oil spill in Southern California. Oh, I didn't even hear about that. Do I think that the global oil powers actually engineered that? So I'm glad you asked that question. It's leading me into like the next layer here. We don't have to believe what we think. And I'm just going to be very honest with you. I'm even going to take off my glasses. I do my best every day to cultivate believing in almost nothing. Not not the, oh, grieving, I don't believe I deserve to live or any of that. I'm talking about believing my stories and my opinions and the assumptions. And yeah, you know, like, do I believe that global oil powers actually engineered that? I like to stay in the question. If I say yes to that question, it could lead me to anxiety. I don't know. If I say no to that question, it could lead me into being in denial. So I like to stay in the question because the information comes. So on a day-to-day basis, self-criticism arises. No, I think no matter how long we do personal development work, spiritual work, there's still going to be arising self-criticism, criticism of others or things. So I remind myself I don't have to believe the thoughts or the words or what people are saying. And there's this really important dance, this neutral dance where I'm not in denial and I'm not like attached to my belief. And it really keeps me in a state of responsibility, like responding. So I'm offering that to you. I really love the question. And I just think, you know, being more mindful of our questions and staying in the question and curiosity and looking at what we believe or what maybe we're attached to certain beliefs can really help us get into a calmer state and more curious state and be more connected with others. So let's see what else people are saying here. But knowing the harm and facing it can also be healthy and a source of resilience. Absolutely. Absolutely. So this is why I like to stay in the question versus and or yes, no. Of course, for me, I also go with my gut. You know, I navigate with my gut, and there are things that are resounding yes, and they always lead me into being aligned and to it being aligned with others and for the benefit of all. So my antidote to despair about the news and the stupidity in DC is all of you. The summit, good friends, my guide, and the beauty that is everywhere. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. I love this conversation. I really appreciate it. And does anyone have any last words or questions? We have a minute left. I think that there's maybe on October 9th, there's a way to continue this conversation. I will look that up. Somebody wrote a comment earlier, Sundays regional breakouts. Okay. Either Friday or Sunday, if anybody wants to continue this conversation on what is option 3, I will look and see if I can make myself available. You are so welcome. You are so welcome. I'm glad it's been awesome and inspiring for you. And you can go into the day now, hearing all these issues we're dealing with more calm and curiosity and asking what is option 3. It'll be fun to see if that question comes up in any of these discussions in the next days. You're so welcome. You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Thank you, Jules, again, for inviting me to be here and helping people start the day off with some ease and joy and play. And I'm going to say, stay curious. And I'll see you online. And if anyone wants to stay a little longer,